Have you ever thought that rain doesn't only drench you, that it does something else too? That it closes roads, stops cars, steals your phone, puts out the lights, so that one light can shine, the one that was always meant for you. Zara didn't know that on that night, when everything shut down, the car, the road, the phone, the rain was actually opening something, a door that only she could reach, a man that only she could find, a heart that had stayed lit only for her until that hour of the night. And I am that man who had long ago let go of life, of love, of joy. In one night, one drenched girl knocked on his door and came inside, not into the room, straight into his heart. That rain, that one night, that small treehouse brought two broken people together. And what happened after was never in any plan, never thought, never asked for. But the love that rain carries is the most honest love in the world. Crescent moon. So tonight, in the sound of the rain, I tell you that story which the rain wrote between two hearts, without asking, without announcing, just wrote it. Close your eyes, pull your blanket close, and feel that first drop, the one that falls when love begins. Listen. One rain brought two hearts together. Crescent moon. Zara hadn't thought, not even once, that this night would change her life. Nobody ever does. Nights like these don't announce themselves. They just arrive. It was 9 o'clock at night. A mountain road. Winding. Narrow. Dense jungle on both sides. And Zara was alone in her car. Some old song playing on the stereo. Cool air drifting in through the window. Everything perfectly fine. Then came the rain. First 2 drops on the windshield. Then 10. Then, like the sky had wrung itself out with every last bit of strength it had. The wipers were on full speed. Useless. Not a single clear second. Just a wet, blurry, black darkness everywhere. Zara's grip tightened on the steering wheel. It's fine. Just a little longer. It'll stop. The rain didn't stop. Then the gas light came on. Orange. Quietly. Without any warning. Zara looked at it once. Then at the road. Then back at the light. Are you serious? She smacked the steering wheel. The car didn't respond. Just kept going. Like it was saying, I'm doing my job. The rest is your problem. Then water flooded the road. So much water that it wasn't clear anymore. Is this a road? Or a river? The car slowed. Pushed a little further. The engine made one rough, rattling sound. And stopped. Completely. Silent. Zara tried the ignition. Once. Nothing. Again. Nothing. A third time. With a little more force. The way you try, when you half believe, forcing it harder, might actually work. Nothing. She leaned back in her seat. Eyes closed. Outside. The rain was breaking apart against everything. The roof. The windows. A noise that buried everything else. Her own voice. Her own thoughts. She stayed like that. For a while. Just stayed. Then she pulled out her phone. 2% battery. Yeah. Sure. Of course. Only one thing was possible now. The flashlight. She shone it outside. Darkness. Rain. Nothing but jungle on both sides. No houses. No lights. No people. Ping. Battery 1%. And then the screen. Black. Completely black. So this was it. Dark night. Pouring rain. Dead car. No phone. No road. And Zara. Completely alone. In situations like these, most people either cry or panic. Zara did neither. She sat still and started to think. The car won't start. No phone. It's dark. It's raining. But I'm here. I'm breathing. What's next? She looked outside and saw something between the trees, somewhere up above. A light, faint, far, but there, not at ground level, quite high up, orange, warm, flickering, but not going out. Zara's heart paused for just a moment. Someone's there. Yeah. That debate started too. The one that happens when it's nighttime. There's a forest, and you're thinking about walking toward some unknown place. Who knows who's there? But if I stay here, By morning it'll only be worse. The rain isn't stopping. The car won't start. A long silence. Then, let's go. She grabbed her bag, opened the car door. The rain hit her face immediately, like it was saying, "Welcome." Water on the ground, cold. Her shoes soaked through on the very first step. The path went uphill, winding, rocky, mountain terrain. Her foot slipped once. She barely caught herself from falling. But she kept walking toward that light. The sound of rain was different now, because now she was inside it. It was on her body, tapping on leaves, running through the drain. Somewhere far, the deep rumble of clouds rolling over the peaks, like the world itself was whispering some secret to itself. And Zara, one girl, alone, in all of that world, walking toward just one light. When she got close, she finally saw it clearly. A treehouse, high above the ground, on a large, old, solid tree. Its branches spread so far out that standing beneath them, the rain felt slightly, just slightly, less. Wooden steps going up, hand-built. A door, closed. One window, lit up. Zara stood below and looked up. There was something about this place. She had no words for it. Just a feeling. One she'd never felt before. It was an unfamiliar place. An unfamiliar night. But it felt safe. She went straight up. First step, creak. Second, worn, smooth wood. Third, fourth, fifth. In front of the door, hair plastered to her face, hands trembling. From inside, silence. She raised her hand, knocked. Once. Silence. Again. From inside, footsteps. Slow. Just one person. No urgency in them. Like they already knew that whoever it was outside wasn't going anywhere. Then, the door opened. Warm light spilled out. Candlelight. And standing in that light, a man. Tall. Raindrops in his hair. Eyes deep. Black or brown. Hard to tell in that light. His face held a quiet, old sadness. One he wasn't hiding. It was just there. Like it had been there so long. It had become part of him. He looked at Zara. Soaked. Trembling. In her eyes. A question. she couldn't say out loud. "Will you let me in?" Ian didn't say anything for a moment. Then, he stepped back from the door, made way. No words, no smile, no welcome. Just room. And Zara stepped inside. The moment she did, a scent came. Of wood. Of tea. Of candles. And such warmth. Such warmth that her soaked body shivered for just a second. But it wasn't a cold shiver. That happens when the body finally understands. You're safe now. The room was small. One lantern. A few candles. A cot. A blanket. An open book on the table. A small stove in the corner. With a kettle of tea. That was it. But that night, in that one small room, for the first time, it felt to Zara like a space this small is enough. She turned around. Ian was closing the door. He hadn't smiled, hadn't spoken, hadn't offered any welcome. And yet, he had made room. And some things, without a single word, find their way to the heart. Zara was inside now. The door had closed behind her. The rain was outside. It felt distant now, like someone had placed the whole world behind a pane of glass. The noise was there, but it wasn't touching her anymore. And this room, this small room, was a completely different world. Zara stood there, near the door. She didn't want to move. Like if she did, all of this would break apart. This warmth, this light, this, whatever this was. She was soaked from head to toe. The scarf was drenched. Her shoes were waterlogged. Her hair, which she'd spent so much time fixing that morning, was plastered to her face. Sideways. A mess. She did not look okay. And the man, that man, walked straight toward the kitchen corner. Didn't say anything. Didn't look back. Just went. Like this was normal. Like a soaked girl showed up at his door. Every single night. Zara followed him. With her eyes. Who is this person? The kettle was on the stove. Tea had already been made. He took out one cup from the wooden shelf, then paused for a second, and took out a second cup, too. Poured the tea into both, then came back with one cup, and held it out toward Zara. Didn't say a word. Just a cup in his hand. Steam rising from it. Warm. Fragrant. Zara took it with both hands. For a moment she just let that warmth stay in her palms. Didn't drink. Just let her hands warm up. "Thank you," she said, quietly. The man glanced at her once, then looked away. He sat down in the wooden chair near the table, picked up his own tea, looked toward the book lying open on the table, but didn't start reading. Just was there, in his own world. And Zara was still standing near the door, soaked, trembling slightly from the cold, and carrying this strange feeling that she was here, but hadn't quite asked permission to be here. "Would you like to sit down?" A voice, for the first time, deep, low, like he didn't use it very often, so it had gone a little rusty. Zara looked toward the cot. A blanket on one side, a little open space on the other. Yeah, thank you." She sat down on the very edge of the cot, straight-backed, like a guest, like she didn't want to take up too much space. Silence. But the strange thing was, that silence wasn't heavy. The silence that usually exists between strangers. That kind is heavy, full of unsaid words, awkwardness, a pressure from both sides to say something. Anything. Just say something. This wasn't that kind of silence. This was different. Like both of them already knew. There was no need to say anything. There was the sound of rain, the candle flame flickering, steam rising from the tea, and those two people, complete strangers, in one room. Zara's gaze moved slowly around the room, quietly, carefully. There was a small shelf with books on it. Not many. 10, 12. But all of them warm, meaning he read them again and again. A lantern sat on one side of the table. In its light, the man's face was half lit, half in shadow. And then there was one thing that stopped Zara's gaze entirely. In the corner of the shelf, a photograph. Small, in a wooden frame. But the frame was broken. On one side, tape had been applied. Someone had stuck it back together. Hadn't put in much effort. Just enough to keep it from falling. In the photo, this man, looking a little younger, smiling, fully. That kind of smile that doesn't live on the face. It lives in the eyes. And a woman beside him, older, white hair, her hand on his shoulder. The kind of hand that holds an entire world inside it. A mother. Zara didn't know how she knew. But she knew. She quickly looked away. Like she hadn't seen it at all. But something happened inside her. Something that doesn't come in words. This man is alone. Not just in this room. In life. Where's your car? His voice came. He was the one asking, this time. Down below. There was water on the road. The engine died. Just that. Zara waited a moment. Then, do you live here, alone? She asked it. Without thinking. Then realized, maybe she shouldn't have. It was too personal. Too direct. But the man didn't take offense. Just paused, for a moment. Looked at his tea. Yeah. One word. But inside that one word, so many stories. Zara took a sip of her tea. The first one. And stopped. This. She couldn't finish. The tea was exactly like that. Exactly. The way she made it. Or the way her mom made it. Extra cardamom. A little less ginger. And one more thing. What was it? Saffron? Yes. Just a little saffron. Nobody knew this. It was her mom's secret. She'd never told anyone. How did you make this tea? The man looked at her directly. For the first time. Why? Is it too much? No. Not at all. It's just. This tastes exactly like. She stopped. Exactly like home. How could she say that? It's really good, she said. Just that. The man said nothing. But he didn't smile. Yet something happened on his face. Something very small. Something that came for just 1 second. And left. Outside. The rain picked up again. One more time. The room shook. Slightly. The candles swayed. Light danced across the walls. Shadows shifting back and forth. And one candle went out. The darkness deepened just a little. Zara involuntarily pulled her shoulders in. Like the cold had gotten worse. The man stood up. Without a word. Opened a drawer. Took out a new candle. Lit it from the first one. Placed it back. Steady. Simple. Like he'd done this 1,000 times. Sat back down. Reached for the book. But this time Zara noticed something. The page wasn't turning. He was pretending to read. What's your name? Zara asked. Softly. He paused. Like he had to think about the answer. Like it had been a long time since anyone had called him by his name. Ian. Zara, she said. One moment between them. Silence. Then Ian looked back at the book. And Zara looked back at her tea. But now the silence was slightly different. They weren't two strangers in a room anymore. Now, they were Ian and Zara. And that difference, that small difference, is actually enormous. The night was growing deeper. The sound of rain, the flicker of the candle flame, the tea slowly going cold. And those two people were completely quiet. But both of them were completely there. Fully. Zara's gaze drifted once more to that photograph. The broken frame. The tape. That smiling Ian, who looked so different from this one. What must this man have been like before, she thought. What happened to him? Who was that woman? Where did she go? Questions, but not ones to ask. Some things are asked of time, not of people. Get some sleep. Ian's voice came. Zara looked up, startled. What? The rain will go all night. The road won't clear until morning. Sleep. On the cot. But you. I'm fine. So direct. So simple. Like there was no room for argument. Zara looked at him for a moment. This man who hadn't smiled, hadn't said much, hadn't offered any welcome, but had made tea. Exactly like that. Had lit a new candle. Without being asked. This person knows how to take care of someone. Doesn't say it. Just does it. Zara lay down. Slowly. Pulled the blanket over herself. It was warm. Soft. She closed her eyes. And for the first time, that whole night, a breath came all the way through. A little while later, Ian closed his book. Started to get up. Ian. His name. Zara's voice. Her eyes were closed. Her voice barely there. On the edge of sleep. He stopped. That photo. Who was she? A long silence. So long that Zara thought, maybe he won't answer. Then, my mom was, yeah, just that. But in that one word, in that was an entire life. Zara's eyes were closed, but something filled up inside her. I'm sorry, she said, in soft, half-asleep words. For what? For asking. Ian said nothing. But he didn't leave. He stood there. 1 moment. 2. 3. Like he wanted someone to just be there too. Just be there. Not do anything. Not say anything. Just exist. Then he sat back down in the chair. In the silence. In the rain. In the candlelight. And Zara was on the edge of sleep, but hadn't fully gone under. One part of her was still awake, still feeling that he was there, that he hadn't left, and that feeling was so safe, so warm, like Home. The rain was still falling. The candle was still burning. And those two people, in a small treehouse, were strangers to each other. But that night, neither one of them was completely alone. The night had grown deeper. Outside, the rain was still falling. But it wasn't that storm anymore. Now it had found its rhythm, its own steady pace. Like some ancient melody, the kind that pulls you towards sleep. If you listen long enough. Inside the room, there were two people. One was sleeping, or trying to. One was awake, or pretending to be. Ian was in the chair. The book was in his hands, but his eyes weren't on the page. He was looking at Zara, carefully, like if he looked directly, she'd feel it somehow. Even in her sleep, she lay there, one hand tucked beneath her face, her hair still slightly damp, the blanket up to her shoulder, her breathing steady, slow. She's asleep, he thought. Then, she shifted, just a little. The blanket slipped to the side, off her shoulder. Ian stood up, slowly, so slowly, came over, and pulled the blanket back up to her shoulder with one hand, so carefully, like it wasn't a blanket, but something very old, very precious. Then, back to the chair, said nothing. No one saw. But it happened. A little while later, Zara's eyes opened. Not all the way. Just slightly. That place between sleep and waking. She was there. Her gaze moved through the room. The lantern. The candles. The rain. And Ian. He was looking toward the window. In profile. Those deep eyes. That sharp face. That quiet old sadness. The rain outside. And in that rain's faint light, his face looked so different. Zara shut her eyes quickly, like she was trying not to get caught. But something was there. Something that wouldn't settle. Who is this man? Why is he here alone? What is he thinking right now? What does he see in that rain? Questions that couldn't be asked. Couldn't sleep. Ian's voice came. Zara opened her eyes. All the way this time. He was still looking toward the window. But you knew I was awake. Yeah. How? You're breathing. Zara paused. Breathing. It's different when you're asleep. A moment of silence. Then it slipped out of Zara. You notice things like that? Ian didn't answer. But the answer was there. He noticed. He noticed everything. Zara sat up, blanket around her shoulders, on the edge of the cot. The same spot as before. Ian was still facing the window. Silence. But this time Zara let the silence stay. Before, she used to fill silences with something, anything. Most people do. They're afraid of silence. Like if you go quiet, the truth might show up. But this time, she just Saturday and felt the tapping of rain, the flicker of the candle, the faint cold smell of tea still lingering in the room, and Ian's presence, just being there. What a rare thing, she thought, to be quiet with someone and not feel bad about it. How long have you been coming here? Zara asked, softly, like she wasn't really asking, just saying it out loud. Ian turned from the window. For the first time, he turned fully toward Zara. 3 years. Alone. Yeah. Every time it rains. He paused for a moment. Every time it rains. Zara felt it. This answer wasn't just an answer to a question. There was something else inside it. A reason. A story. But she didn't ask. Just, does it feel good? Ian looked at her once. Then back at the rain. It didn't before. And now. He stayed quiet. And in that quiet, Zara found her answer. The candle flickered again. A draft had come from somewhere. Through the gaps in the window. The light danced. Shadows shifting back and forth across the walls. And for one moment, just one moment, Ian's face in that light was so different. The sadness was there. But something else too. Something hidden. Something that wanted to come out. But had forgotten the way. Zara's gaze stayed. This man must have smiled once. Openly. Fully. All the way to his eyes. What happened to him that he forgot? How smiling works. Can I ask you something? Ian's voice came. Still looking toward the window. Yeah, Zara said. Aren't you scared? Of what? This place. A stranger. Zara thought for a moment. Really thought. I should have been, she said. But I wasn't. Why? She paused. Then, I don't know. It just felt safe. This place. That first thing you did when I came in. Walking straight to the tea. without asking anything. That doesn't let you be scared. Ian said nothing. But he turned away from the window. For the first time. Fully toward Zara. Directly. Eyes meeting eyes. And Zara, for the first time, saw the thing hiding behind the sadness. Something was there. Something that had existed a long time ago. And still existed. Somewhere inside. Deep down. Both of them stayed just like that. For a moment. Then Ian looked away. Get some sleep, he said. Quietly. The night isn't over. And you? I'm fine. Same answer. Same 3 words. But this time, Zara didn't argue. She lay back down, pulled the blanket over herself, closed her eyes. A little while later, Ian got up. He went to the shelf, took out something small, so quietly that it made no sound, came back, and the candle near Zara's cot. He moved it a little closer to her. Like he wanted to push the darkness back. For her. Then back to the chair. Zara's eyes were closed. But she was still awake. She had felt all of it. And that feeling touched something in her heart. A place that hadn't been touched in a long time. This man knows how to take care of people, but doesn't take care of himself. This man is warm on the inside, but shows the world something so cold. This man. Sleep came. Full. Deep. Warm. And Ian. He stayed sitting there. In the sound of rain. In the light of the candle. And something strange came over him. Something that hadn't come in a very long time. He too didn't feel completely alone. Outside, the rain was falling. Inside, there was light. And 2 people who had been strangers until that morning now knew each other's silence. That hour between night and morning. There's a time in the night that isn't called night and isn't called morning. That in-between hour when the world goes completely still, when sleep isn't quite complete and waking isn't quite either, when the heart speaks its most honest truths. The rain had slowed. It wasn't hammering anymore. Now it had found its note. Like a lullaby. Like even the rain had grown tired. And was resting now. The room was the same. Warm. Lit. But something was different this time. Zara's eyes opened. Suddenly. No bad dream. No sound had come. Just. They opened. She lay there, looking up at the wooden ceiling. In its cracks, the sound of rain seeped through. In one spot, a single drop was finding its way into. Off to the side, near the shelf. But something had been placed there long ago to catch it. Someone had thought, this needs to be here. Small things that tell you everything about a person. She turned her head. Ian wasn't there. The chair was empty. Zara sat straight up. For a moment something moved inside her. She couldn't quite name what. It wasn't panic. Something else. Something like, he's gone. Then, from beneath the door, light came. From outside. Faint. Bluish. And a sound. Footsteps. On the wooden steps. Coming up. The door opened. It was Ian. Raindrops in his hair. Something small in his hand. He came inside. Saw Zara awake. And stopped. You're up. You went outside. Yeah. In the middle of the night. In the rain. He said nothing. Just came over. And placed the thing on the table. It was a small flower. A mountain flower. Blue. Drenched in rain. But it was perfect. Zara looked at the flower. Then at Ian. This? It grows nearby. Only blooms at night. Just that. Then he started to sit back down. But Zara. Something moved inside Zara that she couldn't stop. You went outside in the rain. Just to get this. Ian stopped. Didn't turn around. If you woke up and the room was empty, it would feel hollow. Silence. Such a heavy silence. And yet, so warm. Zara picked up the flower, held it in her hands. Wet petals. Cold. But they had a scent. Faint. Like rain and earth mixed together. Her eyes filled. Just once. She lowered her head toward the cot. Hid it. Ian couldn't see. But maybe he could feel it. After a quiet moment, Zara looked toward that photograph. The same one. On the shelf. The broken frame. The tape. That smiling Ian. That woman. This time, she couldn't hold back. Ian. That photo. She stopped. Asked, Ian said. Simply. Without any hesitation. Like. He knew this was coming. Like. He was ready. Or maybe. He wanted it. That woman. Was she your mom? A moment. Yeah. And this treehouse. I built it. For her. The room. Felt even smaller. Like those two words. For her. Had filled every inch of it. Zara said nothing. And Ian, for the first time, kept going on his own, without being asked. She loved the mountains, he said, looking toward the window, like something was visible out there, that only he could see. She always said, the city suffocates you. Come up here and suddenly the world feels the right size. Zara stayed quiet. I was in the city. Had a job. No time. I kept saying, we'll go. We'll go. He stopped. Never made it. 3 words. But the weight of those 3 words was enough to make the whole room bow. When she was gone, he stopped. Took a breath. Long. Deep. When she was gone, I came here. For the first time. Looking for the place she always wanted to be. And you found it. I found this tree, he said. She always used to say, there's one tree for every person that exists just for them. When you find it, you'll know you're home. Zara's eyes filled up. This time she didn't hide it. And your tree. This is it. Silence. The sound of rain. And something broke inside Zara. A wall. The kind we build in front of strangers. Don't feel too much. Don't go too deep. This isn't your place. That wall came down. You built all of this alone. By hand, he said. Every plank, every nail. Took 3 months. 3 months. Here. On a mountain. Didn't want to work. Didn't want to see anyone. Just wanted to build something. Something that would be hers. Zara looked at the room. Really looked. For the first time. Those wooden planks. Hand hammered. That shelf. Slightly uneven. But solid. That ceiling. Cracked in places. But in one spot. Someone had thought ahead. Those candles. That weren't just giving light. There was something else in them too. In every single thing was one person's grief and one person's love. Did she love the rain? Zara asked softly. Ian glanced once at the flower on the table. So much. She used to say, everything feels true in the rain. You don't need to hide your face, because the rain itself is so honest that lies can't survive in it. Zara laughed lightly through tears, and Ian, for the first time, looked toward that laugh, directly, fully, like he had wanted to hear that sound for a long time, without knowing it. Your mom was right, Zara said. About what? Things feel more true in the rain. Ian asked, with his eyes. Without words, Zara looked down toward the flower. I was running too. From the city. From myself. I was going to a wedding. Because I had to. There was no real reason. It was just on the calendar, so I was going. She paused. I ended up here. In the rain. And for the first time it felt like, stop. Stay here. Feel something. Ian said nothing. But he stood up and walked to the shelf. He picked up the photograph, the broken frame, looked at it for a moment, then came toward Zara and placed it on the table. Between them. She would have liked you, he said. Simply. Directly. Zara looked up. What? She liked people who feel things. Who stop. Who don't ask. They just understand. A moment. You're like that. Tears. Zara couldn't hold them back. One. Just one. Slipped down her cheek. She wiped it quickly. But Ian had seen. He said nothing. But he stayed sitting there. Not as far away. A little. Closer than before. The rain was barely a whisper now. Like it was listening too. Like it wanted this moment to last a little longer. The candle flame. Steady now. No draft. The room. Completely warm. Zara held the flower in her hand. Again. This flower. It only blooms at night. Yeah. And in the morning. It closes. A moment. But it doesn't end, Ian said. The next night. It blooms again. Zara looked at the flower. then at Ian. And she understood. He wasn't just talking about the flower. Some things close in a single night. But they don't end. The next night, they bloom again. You just need someone to be there. Someone to see it. Someone to know. The last hours of night. The night was in its final stretch now. That hour, when the darkness is at its deepest, just before morning, when the sky hasn't yet decided whether to give light or not. The rain had gone nearly quiet. Just drops now. Not falling so much as hovering. Like the rain had held its breath and was sitting still. Like it too was listening. The room. Something had shifted. That silence which exists between two strangers. That was gone now. The silence that remained was the kind that lives between two people who have begun to know each other. And that silence is something else entirely. Zara was on the cot, but not lying down. Sitting up, knees pulled to her chest, blanket around her shoulders. That blue flower, still in her hand. Its petals, slightly wilted now. But she was holding on to it. Ian was in his chair, leaning slightly forward, hands folded, eyes on Zara, not carefully hidden. This time, direct. Can I tell you something? Zara said, softly. You were different before. The first time you opened the door, your face was so closed off. Like, come in. But don't actually come in. Ian said nothing. Now, you're different. A moment. It's been a few hours, Ian said. Maybe it's the rain. Maybe, Zara said. But both of them knew. It wasn't the rain. Another candle went out. This time Ian didn't get up. Let it be. The room got a little darker, a little warmer, a little smaller. The good kind of smaller. Like the world was drawing itself in, closer to these two people. Ian. Do you ever feel lonely? After all these years? He paused. A long pause. So long that Zara thought maybe she'd asked the wrong thing. Always. One word. So direct. So honest. No hesitation. No defense. I always feel lonely. Zara looked at him, He was facing the window. Outside was darkness, rain, but he was looking at something that wasn't there. Something old. Some other time. Then why do you come here? Doesn't it make it worse? Ian thought for a moment. Being alone here. It's different, he said. Being alone in the city. That hurts. Because there are people there. And still no one. Here. He stopped. Here. Being alone is a choice. There's no one. So no one has left either. Zara understood completely. Because she had felt this too. Sometimes. On those nights. When even the city's lights felt like darkness. When noise itself held silence inside it. Me too, she said. Barely above a whisper. Ian looked at her. You. Yeah. Me too. But you, he stopped. What? You, he looked at Zara. You don't seem like that. Nobody does, Zara said. That's exactly the thing. Silence. But in this silence, something was there. A thread, thin as a hair, between the two of them, just formed, that could break, with one wrong word. But, right now it was there. Right now it was absolutely there. Ian stood up. Zara thought, he'll go make tea, or go to the window, or do something. The thing he does when a conversation gets too personal. But he went to the shelf, took out a book, worn, old. The cover so faded the title was barely visible. Came back and sat down on the floor near the cot, directly next to Zara. This close, that if either of them reached out a hand, but no one reached out. Can I read you something? He asked. Such a simple question, and yet so unexpected. Zara's heart, for one moment, stopped. Yeah, she said. Her voice came out, slightly different. She noticed it herself. Ian opened the book. To the middle. A page. Where it always fell open. A worn crease there. Meaning, this page had been read again and again. And he began to read. Slowly. In that deep voice. Some connections are not ones we search for. They simply arrive. The way rain arrives. The way morning arrives. Without permission. Without warning. And we We simply get drenched. And we wonder, when did this happen? And how? And can we go back to where we were before we got wet? He stopped. The room was silent. The rain too, as if it was listening. Zara had closed her eyes. When? She didn't know. But she had. And those words had gone somewhere deep inside her. Some place that had been empty for a very long time. This, her voice came, slightly trembling. Did you write this? A moment. No, Ian said. Then who? My mom. Zara's eyes opened. She looked at Ian. He was still looking at the book. His eyes weren't full, but weren't empty either. There was a river inside that had been dammed for a very long time. That had a door, but it never opened. That had a key, but no one came. She used to write. Zara asked, barely a whisper. Always. Everything. In the margins of books. On scraps of cloth. Sometimes. On her own hand. He paused. This notebook. It was hers. I bring it here. Every time. You read it? Yeah. Why? He smiled. For the first time. In the entire night. For the very first time. That smile that doesn't live on the face. It lives in the eyes. That smile that came and stayed for just a moment. And Zara's heart, for one moment, completely still. Because when I read it, he said, quietly, it feels like she's saying something. Right now. To me. Directly. A moment. And today. He stopped. And today. Zara asked, holding her breath. Ian looked at her. Fully. Today. It feels like she was saying it to both of you. Silence. So heavy. So warm. In Zara's hand was that flower. Blue. In Ian's hand was his mother's notebook. Outside was rain. Inside was candlelight. And those two people who hadn't even known each other yesterday, today, knew each other's deepest things. Ian, she asked, without thinking, without stopping herself. How long has it been? She paused. How long has it been since you told any of this to someone? 1 moment. 2, 3. First time, he said. 2 words. Completely simple. Completely true. Zara's eyes filled up. This time, she didn't hide it. And Ian saw and said nothing, because there was nothing to say. Some moments exist where words fall short, where what is being felt is so enormous that no word can hold all of it. This was that moment. Outside, the rain stopped completely, like it had been waiting for exactly this moment. The room felt even smaller, even warmer, and those 2 people on the floor, with a book, with a flower, with silence, were completely there. No city, no tomorrow, no morning, just this moment, this room, this light. Can I ask one more? Zara said, very softly. If I hadn't come tonight, would you have been okay? Ian looked at her for a moment, then toward the window, where the rain had stopped, where in the sky, very far away, there was one star, alone, glowing. I would have been, he said, paused. But tonight I felt for the first time that being okay, and he stopped. And Zara asked, holding her breath. He turned, eyes meeting eyes, and being happy are 2 different things. Zara couldn't say anything because she was feeling exactly that. Exactly the same. The same words she had thought herself, but never said to anyone, ever. Being okay and being happy are different things. The night was almost over now. In the sky, very far away, that darkness had started going slightly blue. Morning was coming, slowly, without making a sound, and both of them knew it. Sleep a little, Ian said. It's still a while before sunrise. And you? I'm here. Zara lay back down. That flower. She placed it near the cot, on the table, next to Ian's mother's notebook. Both things together. Ian looked at that, said nothing, but He didn't get up, didn't go anywhere, stayed there, on the floor. Zara closed her eyes, and this time, sleep came. Deep, warm, and just as it did, one thought drifted through. This man, whose face was so closed the first time, tonight he said everything that maybe he had never even said to himself. And sleep arrived, and he stayed sitting there, his mother's notebook in his hand, open once more to that same page. But this time, he wasn't reading. He was watching Zara, who had fallen asleep, who had come in the rain, who had stayed, who had listened, who had understood, without needing all the words. And, for the first time, after such a very long time, that room didn't feel empty. The rain had stopped, but something was still there in the air. That fragrance, that warmth, that thin sliver of light between two people, that had found its way in, somehow, on the darkest of nights. Morning comes, doesn't it? Without asking, without telling. However deep the night, however thick the darkness, it comes anyway, quietly, not even the sound of footsteps. Just, the sky changes color. Black becomes blue. Blue becomes gold. And the world begins again. Zara's eyes opened, and the first thing she saw was light coming through the window. Morning light, new, washed clean. That particular light that only exists after rain, when the sky has bathed itself, and everything is completely clear. She lay there for a moment, without moving. Didn't want to stir. Because something was in this room. Something that might break. If she got up. Then, her eyes found him. Ian was on the floor. Not the chair. The floor. Leaning back against the wall. Eyes closed. He'd fallen asleep. His mother's notebook still in his hand, loosely held, like even in sleep he hadn't let it go. Like it was the one thing that always stayed close. Zara, for one moment, just one moment, looked at him. That man, who had been so closed off the first time, so distant, like he was behind glass, who hadn't smiled, who hadn't spoken, who was now asleep and sleeping. He was different. That sadness that lived in his waking eyes had fallen asleep too. His face was simple, clear, that small expression that only comes in sleep, when a person is completely honest. No mask, no wall, just him. Zara looked away quickly. Her heart was beating a little faster than it should. What is happening? She said to herself. Inside. One night. Just one night. Morning will come. The road will clear. You'll have to go. She was right. Completely right. But the heart didn't listen. She got up slowly. So slowly. One hand at a time. One step at a time. Not even letting the cot creak. Went to the window. Looked outside. And oh, the world had completely transformed. The darkness that had filled the night, gone. The storm, gone. The rain had stopped too. And in its place, mountains. In the morning light, wet, glowing. Every single leaf had one raindrop on it. And inside that drop, the whole sky. Trees. So green her eyes filled up. Far away, a small stream that had filled all night from the rain. And now it sang, in its own quiet tune. And the sky had that color. The kind that only exists in the first hour of morning. Golden, orange, a blush of pink, like the sky had dressed itself in its most beautiful clothes, just for itself. Zara stood there. For how long? She didn't know. Beautiful, isn't it? A voice came from behind, low, slightly thick with sleep, but warm. Zara turned. Ian was awake, the notebook still in his hand, his hair slightly scattered, his eyes not fully open yet, but he was looking at Zara. No, he was looking at Zara and the window together, both at once, like he couldn't decide which view was more beautiful. Did you know that morning would be like this? Zara asked. It's always like this, he said. After rain. Like the sky cried all night. And in the morning. He stopped. In the morning? Zara asked, softly. In the morning. It feels lighter. Zara looked back at the window, and for one moment, her eyes filled up. Feels lighter. 2 words. So small. And yet, so enormous. Your mom, Zara said. Still facing the window, did she do this too? Watch this view. No sound from behind. One moment. Then, the sound of footsteps. Ian came to her side, to the window, with her, and both of them looked outside together. She used to say, Ian said, quietly, that every morning, the world asks for forgiveness for everything that happened in the night. The pain, the darkness, and this light. He looked outside. This light is that apology. Zara couldn't say anything. A tear, one, slipped down her cheek. She didn't wipe it. And Ian saw it. Then, very slowly, very carefully, he reached out his hand and placed it next to Zara's hand. Didn't touch, didn't hold, just placed it close. Close enough that Zara could feel the warmth. And Zara moved her hand just slightly toward his. 2 hands in the light from the window, side by side, not holding, not apart, just close enough that the distance had disappeared. Time stopped. It really did. No rain, no wind, no sound. Just that moment, that morning, that light, and those 2 people who had been strangers one night ago. Zara. He said her name for the first time in the entire night. For the very first time he had said her name. And that one word was said in such a way, like it wasn't a name. It was a prayer. Yeah, she said. Barely a whisper. The road will clear. Soon. Yeah. You'll have to go. Yeah. A moment. Will you? Zara turned from the window and looked at Ian. Directly. Fully. Eyes meeting eyes. That man, whose face had been so closed the first time they met, now was completely open. That sadness, it was still there. But alongside it, something else had arrived. Something that had been coming all night. Slowly. Quietly. In the silences. In the words. In that flower. In those lines. Something that looked like hope. I have to go, Zara said. But she paused. But her eyes dropped toward the flower, still on the table, still there. I can't forget this night. I can't forget you. Ian said nothing, but in that silence, there was so much. He turned toward the window once, then back to Zara, then went to the shelf, picked up the notebook, his mother's, opened to a page, and took out a small pen, wrote something, one line, just one, that page from the notebook. Carefully, he tore it out, folded it, and held it out to Zara. Zara took it, opened it. One line, beneath his mother's handwriting, in Ian's hand. Some people come like the rain. You get drenched, and then you find yourself hoping. You never dry. Zara couldn't say anything. Because what would she say? What word existed that would be enough for this moment? There wasn't one. Tears. She couldn't hold them back. One. Then another. And Ian, this time, reached out his hand and held hers gently for one moment, two, not longer, but it was enough. One entire night, one entire lifetime. It was enough. Outside, the sun had fully arrived. Not golden anymore. Now it was white. Bright. Across the entire mountain. And the sky was completely blue. Not a single cloud. Like the night had wiped everything clean. I should go, Zara said. More to herself than to him. Yeah, Ian said. But neither of them moved. One moment. 2, 3. Then Zara let go of his hand, picked up her bag, pulled the dupatta onto her shoulder. That blue flower was on the table. She picked it up and tucked it into her bag. Ian watched, said nothing, but he smiled. That smile that had come for the first time last night, now was complete. It was in his eyes. It was on his face. And Zara saw that smile and thought, this is how he must have smiled before. When she was here. When everything was okay. This is the smile that had been lost for so long. And I got to see it. The door opened. Morning air rushed in. Cool. Damp. Carrying the scent of flowers. That after-rain smell. Of earth. Of leaves. Zara stepped onto the stairs. Started going down. First step. Second. Third. Zara. A voice came from above. She stopped. Turned back. Ian was standing at the door. One hand on the frame. In the morning light. He looked so different. Not the man she'd met in the night. This was something else. Mira's wedding, he said. How many days? 2 days, Zara said. Why? A moment. On your way back. He stopped. Zara's heart stopped. On my way back. Ian looked toward the window. Then back at Zara. The road goes right past here. Straight through. Don't get lost. Zara didn't understand for a moment. Then she understood. The road is straight. Meaning, Ian said. And that smile came back into his eyes. If you want to get lost, you'll have to find a different road. Zara laughed. Through tears. That laugh. That comes from somewhere deep inside. That you can't stop. That is the most honest thing there is. Okay, she said. Okay. Yeah. She paused. I'll definitely get lost. Ian looked at that torn notebook page. Still in Zara's hand. Once. Then at Zara. That line, he said. That wasn't my mom's. Zara went still. You wrote it? Yeah. When? At night. When you'd fallen asleep. Zara looked at that page. Then at Ian. Some people come like the rain. You get drenched. And then you find yourself hoping you never dry. Silence. Morning light. Mountain wind. And 2 people. One above. One below. Between them, just a few steps, and an entire world. I'll come back, Zara said. Simply. After the wedding. On my way home. I know, Ian said. That's certain. He turned toward the window. Then back to Zara. I wait here for the rain. A moment. Now. There's something else to wait for too. Zara went down the steps. One step. Then another. Reached the ground. Turned. Ian was still there. At the door. In the morning light. One hand on the frame. Eyes on her. Zara raised her hand. A small goodbye. And Ian raised his back. She walked down the mountain path toward the car. With every step, something pulled inside her chest. Backward, upward, toward that small room, toward those candles, toward that tea, toward those words. Don't get lost. She smiled. Alone. In the morning light. Between the wet leaves. Once. Just once. She turned. Looked up. Ian was still there. Still. And some things live in the heart, but never find words. They only exist in one glance, in one hand, in one smile, and stay forever. Crescent moon, one final scene remains, the return. But for now, close your eyes. Think of that morning light. Think of that blue flower in the bag. Think of that one line. Some people come like the rain. Let it settle into your heart. Crescent moon, rest now. 2 days passed. Mira's wedding was everything it was supposed to be. The Shania, the flowers, the lights, people, laughing, greeting each other, filling every corner with noise and color. Everything was there. But Zara was there. And somewhere else too. One part of her wasn't present. It was up above, on the mountain, in a small room. Mira had asked. Wedding night. When everyone had gone to sleep. The two of them sitting on the rooftop. Under the stars. Where were you? I called all night. Got stuck on the way. It was raining. Where did you stay? A moment. A place. Mira looked at her. Directly. Was someone there? Zara smiled. That smile. That she couldn't stop. Mira didn't ask anything more. Because that smile said everything. The day to leave came. Morning. Zara packed her bag, hugged Mira goodbye, got in the car, started the engine, and took the road. That same road. Winding, narrow, mountain all the way. The car kept moving, and Zara's heart kept getting faster. At every turn, every uphill stretch, he'll be there. He will. Or maybe not. Maybe he left. Maybe. No. He'll be there. She kept reassuring herself. Then, that place came into view. That tree. The big one. Ancient. Solid. Zara stopped the car. Got out. Looked up. The treehouse was right there. The window was lit. Zara's heart, for one moment, stopped. Then, beat so fast that breathing became difficult. She walked toward the steps. First step. Creak. That same sound. That same wood. Second. Third. Fourth. In front of the door. She raised her hand. Before she could even knock, the door opened. Ian was there. Right there. Like he'd been waiting. His eyes, for the first time, were bright. That sadness, still there. But it had stepped back. And in front of it, something else. Something that had come in 2 days. Or maybe it had come in one night. And in 2 days, he had come to know it. Both of them stood for one moment. Just like that. At the doorway. Neither inside. Neither outside. In between. Like both of them understood. This moment only happens once. You came, Ian said. One word. But inside that one word, so much relief. So much peace. Like, I knew you would come. I didn't get lost, Zara said. Smiling. I knew you wouldn't. That's certain. I'm certain about rain, he said. That it will come. And now. He stopped. Zara asked, with her eyes. Now I'm certain about you too. Zara stepped inside, and this time, she didn't stand far away, didn't stop near the door. She came straight to the table, and that blue flower, she took it out of her bag, slightly wilted, after 2 days, but it was there, still there. She placed it on the table, that same spot, where it had been the first night. Ian looked at the flower, then at Zara. You kept it? Yeah. Why? Zara thought for a moment, really thought. Because, she said softly, some things exist to remind you that the moment was real, that the night was real, that. She paused. That you are real. Ian said nothing, but he moved slowly, one step, then another, and not to the other side of the table, to the same side, Zara's side. This close, that Zara felt, that warmth, that had been in the room the first night, was now, right here. Can I tell you something? Ian said, barely above a whisper. Zara said. Her voice didn't come out fully. 2 days. He stopped. Zara looked up. Directly. Eyes meeting eyes. 2 days. This room. He stopped again. Like he was searching for words. This man, who always said so little, was pausing for words even now. But this time, the reason was different. This time, the words were too large to come out easily. 2 days. This room was empty, he said. I was here. But it was empty. Zara's breath caught for a moment. And now, she asked, so softly, like if she spoke too loud, this moment would shatter. Ian looked into her eyes, directly, completely. Now you're here. 2 words. Just 2 words. But an entire life lived inside them. Zara. Her eyes filled. This time, she didn't hide it. No reason to. One tear slipped down her cheek, and Ian, very slowly, very carefully, reached out his hand, and that tear, with his thumb, he wiped it away. That touch, That one small touch. So gentle. So warm. That every exhausted piece of Zara. From that whole night. Those 2 days. Her whole tired life. Melted. Both of them. Stayed just like that. For a while. Neither moved. There was no rain outside. But neither of them needed the rain. Whatever needed to get drenched had already happened. Then Zara raised her hand, and Ian's notebook lying on the table. She opened it. That same page. That same line. Some people come like the rain. You get drenched, and then you find yourself hoping you never dry. She read it once. Then picked up the pen. And beneath it, in her own hand, wrote one line. Ian leaned over and read, "I don't want that rain to dry either." He straightened, looked at Zara, and this time, he smiled. That smile, that had come for just one moment the first night, now was complete. It was in his eyes. It was on his face. From behind all that pain, that smile had finally arrived. And Zara saw it and smiled too. Those 2 smiles in that small room were so full of light that the candles weren't needed. "Stay tonight," Ian said. It wasn't a question. It wasn't a request. Just a truth. Simple. Honest. Night will come. Rain will come maybe. And he stopped. Zara asked, with her eyes. And I want you to be here. When it does. Zara looked toward the window. Outside, the same mountains, the same trees, the same world. But now, everything was different. Same place, but the color had changed. Same breeze, but the fragrance had shifted. Same sky, but it no longer felt lonely. "Okay," she said. "Okay." She turned toward Ian. "Yeah," she said, and smiled. "I want to be here too. When the rain comes." Ian looked at her for a moment, then picked up the kettle, placed it on the stove. Exactly the way he had the first night. Zara sat on the cot. Exactly the way she had the first night. But this time, she wasn't near the door. not in the corner. She was in the middle. A little while later, the tea came. 2 cups. Ian handed one to Zara, and for the first time, with his own cup, sat down next to her, on the cot. For the first time, this close, that their shoulders were touching. Both drank their tea in silence, but that silence was the heaviest silence in the world. Heavy with love, with warmth, with all those things that never find words, but live in the heart forever. Outside, in the sky, one cloud came, then another, and from far away, the sound of rain, coming, again. Zara heard it, and smiled. Ian heard it, and, for the first time, didn't wait for the rain, because what he had always been looking for in the rain was sitting right beside him. Ian. Your mom, Zara said softly. She was right. About what? That things feel more true in the rain. A moment. And you find your tree. Every person's. When you find it, you know you're home. Ian looked at her. Did you find yours? Zara looked toward the window, then at that small room, then at Ian. Yes, she said. Where? Zara just smiled, and very slowly rested her head on Ian's shoulder. Ian, for one moment, didn't move at all. Then, slowly, rested his head on top of hers. Both of them stayed just like that. Tea in hand, rain outside, candle burning, and that notebook with 2 lines on it. One his mother's, one Zara's. Some people come like the rain, you get drenched, and then you find yourself hoping you never dry. I don't want that rain to dry either. And outside, the rain arrived. This time, no fear, no loneliness, no darkness, just rain. And those 2 people in a small room next to each other, completely home. Because some connections the rain brings, and only the rain knows where to take them, who to bring them to, when, at exactly the right moment. to knock on exactly the right door. Crescent moon, the end. This was the story of one rainy night, of a warm treehouse, of a blue flower, of a broken photo frame, of a notebook where two people wrote, and of those two people who met in the rain and were never alone again. Now, close your eyes. Listen to the rain, whether it's outside or only in your heart. Think of that warmth, the kind that comes when someone is right beside you. And sleep with this certainty that some rains don't just come to drench you. Some come to bring you home. Crescent moon sparkles